You're listening to the Silver Phoenix Happy Hour with Blaze and Ken. And now, Blaze and Ken.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Silver Phoenix Happy Hour. I'm Blaze.
I'm Ken.
You got the Marvel shirt on. I'm loving it.
I do. Brand new. I don't think I've worn the same shirt twice in the 3
No,
seasons of the show so far. So I'm very proud of this.
and I have not worn the same outfit either twice. So we're like, look at us. We're like, I don't even know what the word is. Um,
I don't know how I
fashionistas.
keep doing it.
Fashionistas. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Who would have thought? So, okay. So listen,
Yeah.
great show today. We actually have a repeat visitor. And we're excited because when we had him on, was it season 2 or 1? I'm blanking
No,
on which
I
season
believe it
he
was the
was on.
first season. Yeah, it was the
Okay,
first
yeah,
season.
first season. So first season, we had all these connections we didn't know until we spoke to him and everything. You had known him ahead of time, but I didn't. So it was just funny how we had kind of interwound things together. So I'm excited to hear about his new endeavor. We won't talk too much about it until he comes on. So first, let's start with what the week held. Anything fun on your end?
You know what? I got to celebrate a birthday. It was fun. I cooked dinner for everybody. It was good.
Nice. I went to Metallica with 2 of my girlfriends and at MetLife, and we had a ball. I had the worst headache in the morning because I forgot earplugs. But I mean, those guys can play.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
telling you, I don't think I never saw them in person, so I forgot how good they are. Like just so good.
Yeah.
And they just killed. It was actually a 2-day show, but I only went to the Friday, not the Sunday. But it was just, yeah, it was really cool. And I think also having like the backdrop, what I thought was awesome was they did a center stage that was round right in the middle of MetLife. So you weren't like looking far, you're just kind of looking down. Everybody had a good view. There wasn't a bad seat in the house, to be honest. And we were up in the nosebleeds. So
Eh,
but they had IMAGs. They had the 8 of them, and it was so cool just to see the close-ups that way, and the way that they moved around the circle. They would just pick up the drum kit in the dark and move it so that it was going around and around. It was really cool. And then there was lightning happening, heat lightning above the stadium. So you got to see like, what they were doing down there. They didn't need any big theatrics because it
you
was,
were having a show up above too.
yeah, it was magical. We just kept looking at each other and just saying, the girls were like beyond excited. And I was only scared maybe once or twice with a couple of their heavier tunes that I was like, ooh, I'm a little scared right now. But no, it was magnificent. I loved it, and I would totally see them again. So, but the other thing was I got an Xbox in the mail. It was free, and it came through one of I had gotten when I moved. I got a new internet service, and it came with a free Xbox Series S.
I thought you were just
So
bougie and had the money to spend on a new Xbox.
no, it was free. So I was like, they were like, "Oh, do you want that or do you want a $100 gift card?" I was like, "I want the Xbox, of course."
I, the
So
Xbox is more than $100.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So plug to Verizon, thank you very much.
I'm
But
I'm
yeah,
coming over. I'm gonna come over. We're gonna play Jackbox games.
okay, I'm down for that.
You don't know
Uh,
Jack, Fibbage, all that stuff. It'll be great.
I love it. I actually have played those games during COVID. I
Yeah.
remember having all of that and being kind of the host of all of those games for a bunch of people in Long Beach. So, yeah, it was wild. Speaking of games, what's your favorite all time?
Like in general, or
Hmm.
I mean, because I as you see, I have a whole bunch of games behind me, and that's
Yeah.
not even like a tenth of my collection. But oh god, there's so many. I'm a big fan of deck building games,
Okay.
card games that constantly change as you play them. Actually, I think it's my
Okay.
favorite.
I have to go back and give Allie and Meryl a shout out, who who I've been playing Mario Party with, and their brother Andrew, who's
Oh,
actually getting married in a couple weeks. But I have to give them a shout out because I still play that with them. They just came to visit me not too long ago, and we literally played Mario Party. I'm always Peach because they hate Peach, and I have to pick Peach just because they hate her. And I'm like, Peachy does it. Like,
I've been
uh,
doing a lot. I've been doing a lot of retro video games. So I've been playing a lot of the old Mario parties and Mario Karts and all that
yeah.
stuff. So has been a lot of fun the last couple of weeks going back and revisiting all that.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you though,
Yeah.
because there is a little bit of a theme too that I want to bring to the table tonight. It's a summer. A lot of the primetime game shows have come back,
Right.
the celebrity ones and what have you. Do you watch any of them? I mean, I know ABC does a whole big thing on it, but
Yeah, I've watched some of them. I mean, I haven't had a lot of time this summer, to be honest, to watch regular TV, but I have watched some of them in the past for sure. Yes.
do you have any personal favorite game shows, like whether from when you were younger or now, or
I mean, when I was a kid, I used to love Joker's Wild for some reason, and Press Your Luck. Those were two
oh yeah,
goodies. Now I would say I'm a nerd, so Jeopardy.
Jeopardy,
You
yeah.
know, yeah. How about you?
It's kind of the same growing up loving whammies on Pressure Luck because we were kids
Yeah,
and they were animated and they were funny.
yeah,
They're not as funny when you go back and watch them in reruns, but
yeah.
um I like Weakest Link because that came back and Jane
That's a
Lynch is
good
hosting
one.
it and that's fun.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Yeah, I would say those. Actually going back as a kid too, Double Dare was a fun game show.
That was. What was the game show where they had the monkeys and it was on Nickelodeon, the
It's
Aztec
the Hidden
Az
Temple,
Hidden Temple. Yes,
Legends of
and
the
it was
Hidden
like
Temple.
yes, I remember that game. That was that I mean, would you consider that a game show? I guess it was, yeah, because they won
Yeah,
prizes.
yeah.
Um, but it's
The,
not like your
you,
standard, like, remember Lindsay we had on the show who was on Pyramid and won.
yeah,
That was really cool, and,
yeah.
yeah,
You know what?
there's
Being a kid of the 80s and 90s too, I don't know if you remember, like, I remember in the morning before going to school, they used to have game shows that were video game themed, and they would ask kids questions about video games, and then the winners would get to do like a mall madness and just pull whatever games they could off the shelves as prizes by the end of it. It was like, and then they had like an arcade game back in the 80s where they would have people go up against like certain popular arcade games against each other for prizes, and yeah, it
I
was
don't
weird.
remember that as much, but I do remember when Wheel of Fortune used to let you pick your prizes.
Yes, yes, the showcase.
Yes, and
Remember
that
that?
was my
Yeah,
mom's
you didn't
favorite
get money.
show.
Yeah, you didn't
No.
get money. There were price tags on
Yes.
everything, and you would have to pick what you wanted. Like, people forget about that, actually.
Yeah, I don't know, what would you prefer, all the prizes or and they did have trips and stuff like that too, but
Yeah,
prizes or the money at the end?
the money, like,
The
because
money,
those
right?
prizes were terrible. I'll buy that dog statue for $500, Pat. What am I gonna do with a giant dog statue for $500? I'll take that armoire that I'm not gonna fit in my apartment. Thanks, Pat.
Now, what do you think about him leaving and,
It's the end of an
Ryan
era.
Seacrest coming in?
Oh, I didn't hear about that, but yeah, but
Last I
Pat
heard it
Sajak
was Ryan
leaving.
Seacrest. Maybe I'm wrong, but last I heard, at least, it was Ryan Seacrest was
Yeah,
coming in to
I
take his
mean,
place, but
no, I mean Pat Sajak leaving is the end of an era.
yeah.
If it is Ryan Seacrest, it makes sense why he's not on live anymore. So,
Mhm.
but he's
Yeah.
keeping it at ABC and All in the Family, I guess. So,
I mean, those are just classic game shows. It's pretty
yeah,
incredible.
and it's weird because it's like I guess it's that time, I guess, because we lost Alex Trebek, within the
Right.
last few years, and now this is happening, and they were both on for so long back to back, around the same time when they launched, and yeah, it's gonna be missed, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Well, listen, let's run and talk to Nicole in the kitchen real quick. I think she has something to say
Yes.
about game shows. So let's roll that clip.
What's up, Ken and Blaze? I'm so excited we're talking about game shows because while it might not be my favorite, I absolutely love Drew Carey and The Price is Right. But here's what, let's be honest. Right now, the price is anything but right at the grocery stores. I'm sure I'm not the only one noticing increases, and it's due to a lot of different things that I can't really cover in these 2 minutes. But we'll just put it this way, farmers are feeling the pinch as well. What does that mean for you all in the grocery store? Well, why don't we dial it back and review some quick tips on saving money when we're there. Number one, no matter where you shop, I'm willing to bet they have some kind of points reward system. Make sure you have that loaded up and maybe spend a couple of minutes once a week loading up your coupons, going through the circular so you know you're not missing any of those really serious discounts. Secondarily, hold up, before we even get there, you need to shop your fridge and freezer. This prevents overbuying, and then we know we're only grabbing what we really need. I'm going to say something potentially controversial. Maybe avoid buying in bulk, because sometimes there's only so much room in our fridge and it's better to buy less and use it all than let things go to waste. Because if we're wasting food, we're not saving money. Am I right? Last but not least, dig in and enjoy the store brand version of a lot of your favorite foods. Unless it's like a serious favorite, like sorry, not sorry, I'm not buying no-name Golden Grams. I just cannot. But if it's something like canned vegetables, canned beans, pasta, dairy products, go on ahead and why don't you purchase the store brand? Sometimes those items are even coming from the same facility as the name brand item, but for a fraction of the price. Yes, we can make the price as right as can be. Ken and Blaze, so good to see you all. Back to you both in the studio.
There we go, Nicole. Thank you so much. I'm excited because I actually see that our guest is here. Ken, will you do the honors?
Sure. Let's bring to the table our good friend Charles Rosenay.
Glad to be at the table.
Again, welcome back.
Hey guys, I always thought I should have been a guest on What's My Line, to see if people could have guessed, oh, he produces Beatle festivals or he organizes tours to Transylvania. I think that would have stumped everybody.
I think so too. That would have been so much fun. That was a good game. We were just talking about what our favorite game shows were. Was it that one or was it a different one that was your favorite?
My favorite was always Family Feud.
Yes.
With Richard Dawson as as the guy.
The man who kisses everybody.
Yeah, and got away with it in the day when he did.
Yeah, I was always just wondering, like, because this is a little maybe personal, but when I was in college, I remember getting mono from kissing too many boys. So I was just wondering if he ended up ever, kiss. That's a true thing. You kiss too many people.
Thank God for hiatuses, Blaze.
Yeah.
So Charles, it's been a while. You were here on our first season. We're in season 3. The last time we talked to you, we were talking about the book of top 10 horror lists, I believe.
Yes,
which was a fantastic book, and we had some revelations in it because I had known you through people and conventions beforehand, but Blaze realized that there was a connection because of Jerry Rachel and her being in your book, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
But the reason we're here today is you have a new book out. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I do. So the book of top 10 horror lists came out a few years ago, and everyone was like, Charles, you're a rock and roll guy. You're a Beatles guy. How can you put out a horror book before you do a Beatles book? And I said, it's got 9 chapters in there of Beatle related. It's got 9 monkey related chapters, and that wasn't good enough. So what we have now is the book of top 10 Beatles lists, sticking with the same great format of getting celebrities to give me their, favorite Beatle themes, Beatle lists, Beatle chapters, 64 in all, which is that magic number for a Beatles fan, of course, since the Beatles arrived in 64, and because of the song when I hit 64, that's when I finished the book.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Nice.
I love the connections.
So tell me a little bit. So we talked about the first book and heading up to celebrities. Who do you have in this book, and how did you wind up obtaining a bunch of the people for this one?
Well, I went to the well for some of the people, who helped me in the first one. Back in 2010, I produced an event called RockCon, Weekend of 100 Rock Stars.
Yes, I remember that very well.
We always share that great event together. And so, I became friends with a lot of, rock and roll people, the Ron Dantes of the world. And so through them, I met other people, of course. And I thought, these are people who were kind enough to give me something in the horror book. It should be a breeze to get them to repeat, that magic and give me a nice top 10 list for the Beatles book. It wasn't that easy because I did the horror book during COVID. Everyone was home. They were all in their, pandemic mode, and everyone wanted something to do. So writing a list, being part of a book was a lot easier. Now they're out touring. They're doing films. They're doing movies. They've got gigs. And it was a little harder to pin the people down. But I got some people who I never thought I would ever get to cooperate with me on anything. Dick Cavett is one of them, the intellectual talk show host.
Yeah.
And had a lot of great Beatle memories and gave me an amazing list for the book. And
Charles, can you open the book right now just randomly and just pick somebody, tell us what they had to say? I'm just so curious.
Sure, good job. So just when I thumbed through, I passed Daryl McDaniel, who you would never think would be in a book like this, from Run DMC.
Run DMC, yeah.
It was a great list, but it fell on Tommy James.
Okay.
Who was at RockCon, and I don't think he was in the horror book, but what he did is he gave me his top 10 lists of just things that, come to mind when he thought of Beatles. And Ed Sullivan's Show was the first one. The songs from A Hard Day's Night came next. Pepper, then memories of like meeting George Harrison, meeting Paul and Ringo at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So in that case, it was more like memories that came to mind with him.
Nice.
When you pop open another list, now very few did I let just give me a list. I wanted an explanation, a reason, commentary. A few got away with it. And one got away with it only because I really wanted her in the book. And it's possibly a name you've never heard, Carol Connor. She wrote Gonna Fly Now from Rocky.
Rocky,
yeah.
That's not how she's famous to me. She was the lead singer in a band called the Teddy Bears.
Okay.
Who was run by Phil Spector.
Right.
Who recruited her in school. She was 15 and said, "Hey, can you sing?" And their hit was To Know Him.
I was going to say that is To Love Him. I was like literally in my brain, I'm thinking, I know her name. I know that band. I know. But I was like, what's the song? But it's the To Know. Yeah,
and
I love
the
that
Beatles
song.
covered that. And they flipped
yes.
To Know Her is To Love Her in the
Yes.
Decca sections. So I thought, that's one of those rare finds that I was able to get. So, she gave me just a top 10 list.
That's
took
all
it.
right.
But she's one of few. The other one who did that was the gal from Facts of Life. She hosts Collector's Call now.
Played
Blair.
The girl played Blair, yeah.
Game show host. Who gets the point? Blaze or Ken?
Yeah, no,
Lisa
hold on.
Welchel.
Lisa Welch.
Lisa Welch.
Lisa Welch.
Oh, Welch, yeah.
I got her.
That was close.
So,
I jumped in first.
we did a show together on MeTV that she hosts that Collector's Call show. And they had a Monkeys memorabilia gal, and I was the expert who I was the guy. It was so much fun.
That's awesome.
But I put her on the spot there, and I said, "Hey, I need a top 10 list from you for my Beatles book that's coming out." I didn't have the book yet, but I showed her the horror list, and she said, "Oh, I'm glad you didn't ask me because I couldn't have done the horror list. But yeah, I like the Beatles. I'll come up with a list." And then I got the list by email maybe a week later, and I wrote, "Oh, I need the commentary. I need you to give me reasons why." She goes, "No, you never told me that. So it's the list or you don't." All right. So I used her list. And then there was opposite that. It was ones that would go on forever. Like I interviewed Mark Hudson in person. And we sat down and he said, "The only way I'll do it is we're sitting, face to face, have a cup of coffee." We were in Florida together at a Starbucks. And he said, "All right, begin recording." And guys, 3 hours later, I had to cull out, a top 10 list from all the stories he told.
Wow.
I've had to transpose interviews that I've done, and editing is the worst when you have someone that actually goes on and on. It's crazy because it's like there's a lot of good stuff. What do you keep and what do you cut? It's got to be rough.
Yeah.
The one that fits that perfectly was Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong.
Yes.
He gave me a great list. I mean, he's had, Harrison experiences. Harrison played on, some of his songs. But it was like in every direction. There were, tangents and smoke filled the room. You could tell. But we did a great Zoom. We did a great Zoom, and he was a great, and gave me a great list. I mean, I'm proud of every list because I there's a bunch I, could have gone even further and put in the book. And I thought, well, if we ever do a second volume to the Beatles one, hopefully a second volume to the horror one, I can always list more in those.
Yeah.
Hey, you mentioned that now, and you and I have talked after the first time you came on too. We're still waiting for that phone call for being a part of one of these books now.
Yeah, keep waiting. Yeah.
Hey, I'm already in one of them.
You are.
Technically.
Technically, yeah. Her
Technically.
her movie
Unbeknownst to
poster
me.
is in the
No.
horror book.
That's true. That's absolutely right.
Actually, speaking of art and poster and everything, another person that we have in common, going back to RockCon, at least for me, Shannon did the artwork for the cover.
She did. And the horror cover was pretty much all artwork as well, but by 3 different artists contributed to that. We've got, the class.
Was Blickenstaff stuff one of them?
No, these
No.
are all people who would normally set up at a convention called Monster Bash in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Whoa! And so I approached a bunch, and they gave me, and I picked out their best. But when the Beatles book was ready, I didn't even have a doubt. I said, Shannon, there's no one else I want to give me artwork except you, and I want 4 early shots in black and white, 4 middle era or Pepper, and then 4 of the latter years. And I think she really did a great job because she's the greatest artist on the planet. But also it echoed, the book format of the horror book. So when
Absolutely.
it's at a convention and they're at a table, there's a logic behind having them next to each other and selling them like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like
this
I said,
might be. Go ahead, Ken.
I remember meeting her at RockCon and had a fantastic interview that I could have listened to her forever, actually, and seeing all of her work, which is completely gorgeous and so photorealistic. It's beautiful.
Photorealistic is accurate. What she does is every summer we do, as you know, I do the Beatle tours to Liverpool, and this year is our 40th anniversary. We're bringing 55. We've sold out, and part of what she does during Beatle Week, where every vendor is set up, and I'll be selling my books, she's painting. Someone gives her a photo this big, and it's a shot of Paul or whatever the scene is. And then, not, maybe within hours, within days, she's got amazing full art canvas of that.
Yeah,
And she's a great musician and so many levels of talent. It's crazy.
absolutely.
Make sure we
That's great.
share this video with her so she knows that
Yeah,
we're doing some
for
shout
sure.
out.
I know that last time you were on the show, we did talk about the Beatles a little bit, but I can't remember if you told us who you connect most with. Like, which Beatle do you connect most with? Who's your favorite? Like, in
Right.
essence.
For another point, guys, give me your guesses.
It's tough because they're all great in their own right. I mean,
You're both not going to get it, so doesn't
I
matter.
actually was
I'm gonna
going
say
to
George.
say
No,
George
yeah.
as well. I was George, so because that's my mom was George as well. So
So
Pete Best.
Pete Best is correct. We've been friends now going on 40 years. So when you use the word connect,
right.
yeah, he gave me a list in the horror book. He gave me a list in the Beatles book. But guys, in the early 80s, when I was just this fledgling, college guy trying to produce conventions in my backyard, he flew over. He was there for me from the beginning. And, we still see each other in the book. It's really cool. If I could find it real quick and show it to you. What I did is I showed some early pictures of myself with him at a convention, with myself and him and his mom Mona at the Casbah. But then I also put, when we reconnected years later, in recent years, and I actually showed him his list in the horror book. There's
That's
me with
awesome.
Pete and Horst Fasher. There's me with Pete introducing him to Andy White, who played on Love Me Do. And then there's me and him with Sid Bernstein. So he got a lot of photos in the book, and he really did a great job. How he just can actually put in his favorite memories, and it's just unbelievable. But I connect the most with him, my favorite Beatle, if that's what we're asking. So even back when I was a kid, I used to walk around the house singing, Paul, George, Ringo, and John, Paul, George. And that changed through the years. It became Paul, John, George, and Ringo, but it was always Paul first. And
Hmm,
yeah.
that's
All right,
great.
so I'll put you guys on the spot too, because we're talking about lists of Beatles. What would you say is your favorite Beatles tune?
That's a tough one. You know, I remember growing up that my mom had a huge George crush. So she was definitely George Harrison, and Listen was her favorite one. Do you want to know a secret? Uh, my dad's was I Want to Hold Your Hand. And I always loved singing that with him and dancing and all of that. But if I have to pick one personally, I mean, Yesterday is so pretty.
Yeah.
That's just yeah, that gets me. So Yesterday, I'm gonna say.
How about you, Charles?
It's tough, that's the first answer when someone says, "What's your favorite Beatles song?" Because I do a lot of presentations with the book. I do a lot of libraries, and halfway through, I go, "Okay, guys, you know a lot now. You've learned a little bit about me. Tell me your names and what your favorite Beatles song is." And inevitably, they start with, "That's tough."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Or
true.
this is impossible. And a lot of the people who gave me lists, said, "Damn you, how dare you? I can't." And that's why so many of them thought out of the box and gave me lists other than just their
Yeah,
favorite songs. I did not put a list in the book originally. If you recall with the horror book, I I got cheeky. I cheated. I
yeah,
said instead of picking my favorite horror films, I picked the top 10 favorite roles of movies that I was in, that were horror movies.
Right. Right.
yeah,
This one I couldn't do that. I wasn't going to say, "Oh, well, my favorite conventions I produced or the favorite tours I wasn't." So what I did is I really gave it a lot of thought because my editor said we're not finishing the book unless you have your list in there as well. And it was more things that had special memories. Like I would drive my kids, to their school, and we would play Magneto and Titanium Man
I
because
love that song.
it had the superheroes. You're wearing a Marvel shirt. They lived
Yep.
for Marvel, and
yeah,
they got it. So now. Do you want to know a secret? Should have been on the list, and maybe it was because
yeah.
I would sing. Listen, they go, "No, I won't. Do you want to know a secret?"
Yep.
No, we don't. They had a callback to that we would do every day. So songs like that had a special meaning. She Loves You has a very special meaning to me because I grew up in the Bronx. I listened to WABC, WMCA, the good guys. AM radio was on 24 hours in my house. And you're listening to it in this little tinny, radio,
Transistor. Yeah.
Mhm.
transistor portable. Well, when we got the records, I was playing them on my, Ken and Barbie. I just don't think that comes to mind, but it probably wasn't. It was probably a Deputy Dog phonograph,
Yeah.
where the record sounded the same as the AM radio. We walk into a pizza place, and there's this big machine there, and Mom goes, "Here's a nickel. Pick a song." I can't even read. I go, "Which one is the Beatles one?" Someone said, "This one, B4." I press the B. I press the 4, and She Loves You comes out of the jukebox like I've never heard music before. I
Yeah,
mean, I get chills just remembering that first hearing what real music could sound like. And it was the Beatles, and it was just glorious. It was fabulous. So that's one of the ones on my list.
yeah,
When I got married, I always said "Here, There, and Everywhere" would be my wedding song. Well, as it turned out, Davy Jones of the Monkees proposed for me to my wife at a show. So, and the song he picked was "I'll Love You Forever," and I'm like, wait a second, how do I not use that as my first? So we did two first dances, a Monkey song, and "Here, There, and Everywhere." So those are the type of lists I put in because people like reading reasons why,
Yeah.
yeah,
not just certain songs.
yeah. Ken, what's yours?
Actually, I don't know if it's a deep cut, but I think my favorite Beatles song is "Fool on the Hill."
Hmm.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's so again, it depends on your mood too. I remember a couple years
Yeah.
ago, I was dating this guy, and he had asked me to sing Golden Slumbers. Like that was his favorite song. And I sang it for him. I played it and did it kind of sent it to him when he was having a bad day. I thought that was really sweet. And that became like one of my favorite songs. Because I once you hear something and you're listening to it, there's yeah, they just have all these connections. Of course, they're the movies, like, different things like that too. You get these different I guess it depends on what vibe you're into. Uh, you
Depending,
know?
like, I love, I think of the Beatles, anytime I even think of Ferris Bueller.
Mm.
Great
Shake It Up, yeah.
in the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
original, because in that twist and shout, they added horns and
Yeah,
it sounded unbelievable in that marching
yeah.
scene.
I
And
mean, there was
then,
Yeah,
something so awesome about that
yeah.
whole sequence that it's ingrained in my memory forever.
guys, I want to share with you. I do this in all these top 10 list book.
Yeah.
I put in the back each song that is listed and who picked them. And you mentioned "Fool on the Hill." One person, Steve Hackett from Genesis,
Oh, okay.
picked that one. Do you want to know
Wow.
a secret?
Really?
Only two people. Greg Bissonette, who's Ringo's drummer in the All Star Band,
Yeah.
and a guy by the name of Charles F. Rosenay. Those are the only two. But if you want to go to yesterday, forget it, because
Well,
you know
yeah.
a ton of people, and I know you mentioned that one. Yesterday's got Cousin Brucey, Tommy Chong, Ron Dante from the Archies.
Oh, wow.
Um, the only band I got a submission because I was friends with someone who manages an R&B band that you may or may not remember called the Flirtations. They had a hit called "Nothing But a Heartache." And
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
so
yes.
I got their list just because I thought, well, no one in the world knows they exist. So as a band, they picked that. Len Gary from the Quarrymen picked it. Lawrence Juber, the guitarist from Wings. Dinah Manoff,
Oh, Dina Man. Oh, yeah, from Empty Nest.
Empty Nest, Grease, and
Yeah.
Soap. Yeah, the
Yep.
actress.
Soap. Wow, that brings me back.
Angie McCartney, Paul's stepmom. Leo Sayer.
Oh, wow.
When I Need You. That's like one of my favorites. I love that song. Oh,
Yeah.
it's just
Kim Sledge from Sister Sledge. Larry Thomas. Who's Larry Thomas? Pop culture people.
Larry Thomas. No, that's I'm
He's
thinking of
the Snoop Nazi from
oh yeah.
Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah.
My God,
I
he's
was thinking BJ Thomas who sang Raindrops Keep
he,
Falling on My
he was
Head.
he was a chiller. He was a chiller. And it wasn't the busiest table. So I go over, I say, I'm working on this book. You wouldn't by any chance be a Beatles fan. He goes, what? Come on, let me do it. What are you doing? And I
Yeah.
told him he gave me a list. And he goes, I love this. You have any other things you work on?
Oh,
And
that's
That's awesome.
awesome.
he gave me a horror list for
We'll
the
give
future.
him a call. We'll have him on the show.
He
That would
was
be great. We'll be
so
like,
nice.
Charles Rosenay mentioned you.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
that's
a
fabulous.
lot picked yesterday. And then when I did it, I also did the toppermost of the poppermost, which is which songs got the most votes, for lack of a better word. And yesterday was first.
Okay.
And I'm going to let you
course.
guys shout out titles and I'll tell you if it made the top 10.
Oh, Let
Rocky
It Be.
Raccoon?
Rocky Raccoon did not make the top 10.
I just love that one. That was so fun. Uh
Yeah, I would say Let It Be.
Let
Let It
It
Be
Be was
probably.
number 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Help? No.
Sergeant Pepper.
No, no,
Oh, really?
When I'm
Um
64.
no. I'll give you one more
she
guess.
loves you.
She loves
She
you.
loves me. She
Hard
loves
No,
Day's
me.
Night.
no, it's crazy.
Really?
So yesterday was
I
number
want to
one.
hold your hand. No? Huh.
No,
Um
I think a lot of people when they do the book and do a list like that, they want to come off like a little more, I don't want to say sophisticated, but sometimes they think that she loves you, I want to hold your hand, might be too obvious. So someone goes for "While My Guitar Gently Weeps." They go for
Oh,
the
yeah,
more
yeah.
Oh,
clever.
I love
They
that
really
one
think that
too.
she's in. Anyway, yesterday was the most votes. Eleanor Rigby. I would
Eleanor
never.
Oh, no,
Rigby.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Number 2. Let It Be 3. Hey Jude
All right,
4.
yeah. Mhm.
Something 5. Come Together was 6th. A Day in the Life from Pepper
Day
was
in a
7th.
Life. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a great one.
Something is pretty special too. I do like that one a lot. It's beautiful.
And In My Life, and then
My Life.
Beautiful.
tied was Strawberry Fields and We Can Work It Out.
Where was My Guitar Gently Weeps?
Wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't.
Oh.
Okay, I thought you said that was one of them.
No, I
Okay.
was saying that I
That's
was
a
using
beautiful
that
song.
as a possible example of if someone is
Yeah,
thinking that, okay, I got to come up with something, and it is a beautiful, and that's in my list because it was one of those songs that I thought, all right, it's the part of the White Album I don't usually get to, and I wouldn't go out of my way to play it. Excuse me, but more and more tribute bands started playing it.
Right.
And it would be bands from Brazil because I go to the Beatle festival every year in Liverpool as part of Beatle Week, and they would have bands from Japan and from all these countries, and their singing might not have been top notch, but their musicianship was always right on the nose.
Yeah.
And While My Guitar Gently Weeps would not only get some of the best accolades and applause from the crowds, but I started falling in love with it years and years later through other Beatle bands playing it. No, that was definitely in my list.
Yeah. There was a really good duet, not duet, like a two songs put together, and it was My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Like
and
a mashup.
Yeah, and that with Golden Slumbers.
Wow.
Beautiful mashup. Yeah, really, really nice. Well, I'm glad we're on the same wavelength because I think Ken has something that we're going to be segueing to in a minute. So
Yeah, real quick. But before that, one of the other things too, another one of my favorite songs actually is "And I Love Her," which I actually used to cover back in the day.
Really?
And thinking of it, the reason why I think I love that song so much is, and I don't know if it came up in your book too, the Beatles movies. Hard
Yeah.
Day's Night
So
is
prevalent in that movie.
by far one of the greatest comedies it ever made, personally, in my opinion. Growing up as an 80s, 90s kid, like I was a fan of the Zucker brothers, growing up with the Naked Gun and Airplane. And I didn't find Hard Day's Night until later and realizing this is the same kind of humor. It was way ahead of its time, it felt like. Like
Well,
it was so irreverent and funny, and it was just them being them. It was such a powerful, funny movie.
when I do library appearances, if they want a basic appearance, I just come, read from the book, sign a few autographs. If they want a little more expanded, I'll show like a rare video. I'll do interaction, but then I do like there's an elite level when the library actually pays, and I do all of the above. Plus, I bring in a McCartney look-alike, sound-alike, and he does "And I Love Her," and it always gets the best response. Only one person picked it in the book.
Oh, well.
Tommy James.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
But that's all right. I'm the only one who picked that, and your bird can sing. So
All right. So, Charles, I'm going to put you on the spot because before you came on, we were talking about game shows. And if you're up for it, I would love to do a little bit of a game show type game with you.
Of course.
With you and Blaze. Normally, towards the end of the show, we ask our guests a few questions to inspire people and to get to know you a little bit better personally. But we've done that before, so I figured we'd change it up and
Okay.
let's have some fun and let's kind of just have a fun game show type moment. So
I love it.
All right,
We're gonna
Charles,
do
I have to channel you, I think. I got to channel what you're going to say. Let me get my cards out.
So,
All right, I'm ready.
sometime back, I actually wound up hosting a version of the match game, which I'm sure you guys were all aware of or possibly fans of. Which, again, one of my favorite shows that didn't show up when we were talking about game shows earlier. So I have a couple of statements here that are going to be a fill in the blank. I'm going to pose the questions to you, Charles.
Yes.
But Blaze is going to write her answer down.
I see. Right. So I won't jump on it. We'll wait till she.
Right. We're going to wait until she has time to write it down. And then I'm going to ask you to fill in the blank and see if she can match you. How does that sound?
Perfect.
Empty cards. No cheating, say.
No cheating.
Cards.
Okay.
Okay.
And because it's you, the first one is going to go to a little bit of a horror fun themed question.
Okay.
Okay.
So first up, Dr. Frankenstein tried to create an Arnold Schwarzenegger monster, but Igor messed up. He took the head of Arnold and put it on the body of blank. All right, we'll give
Uh,
Blaze a second to think about it, and
okay.
I'll reread the question.
Yeah, reread it one more time.
So Dr. Frankenstein tried to create an Arnold Schwarzenegger monster, but Igor messed up. He took the head of Arnold and put it on blank.
Okay, I got it.
All right.
Uh-huh. Okay. Here's my questions down, so you can
Okay.
see
Uh,
it's down.
All
So we
right,
did-
Charles. Dr. Frankenstein tried to create an Arnold Schwarzenegger monster, but Igor messed up. He took the head of Arnold and put it on the body of.
Dracula.
I said Danny
Danny
DeVito.
DeVito. Oh.
Twins. I got it. That's great. Gene Rayburn would say that's the definitive answer.
I actually, and believe it or not, so everybody knows, I actually wrote these.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
So
man.
like
Very
I had
good.
some things in mind when doing it. So
And he
What
didn't
did
tell me what they were, so
what
I'm
did you have in
completely in the
mind
dark.
for the answer to that? What was your definitive answer?
originally, I was thinking the twins angle. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
Danny
Because
DeVito.
it's been so far behind, and a lot of people may or may not have forgotten, or may have forgotten about it, whatever. But yeah, all right. Lady Gaga has finally gone too far. This time on the red carpet, she wore a dress made of blank.
Oh, jeez.
So for those who might not remember, years ago, Lady Gaga wound up walking the red carpet in a dress made of raw meat.
Meat. Yeah.
So
All right,
Lady
but I got to
Gaga.
channel Charles, so let me think about this. What would he say?
And in
Okay,
match game
I got it.
fashion, I've got my drink, so
I
that's
got
great.
it. There's my
All
answer.
right, all right.
If I was in full horror mode, the answer would be rotting human flesh. But no,
Yes.
you can't say that. I'm going to go with rotting fish.
I said
Rotting fish.
Charles's books.
That's a good answer.
Well, if we don't match, at least let them be funny.
You know, wasn't that Charles Nelson Riley's thing? You
Yeah.
can't match as long as it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of that, so this one might make a couple heads turn depending on how the answer
Ooh.
goes.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Tarzan say, "Me never should have let Cheetah join Boy Scouts. Him tie Tarzan's blank in knots."
I mean, do I have to PG? Do I have to be PG?
I don't think there's a doubt as to what that answer is. The doubt is how we word it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, I know what the joke
pens
is, but I
down.
also know what I had in mind as the actual
Pens
PG
down.
answer.
All right.
So,
All
all right,
right, go
Tarzan
ahead.
say, "I mean, he should have let Cheetah join the Boy Scouts. Him tie Tarzan's blank in knots."
It should be what he hangs from, but I'm going to go with Schmeckel. I'm going to go with the wiener. Great. The only time we match is when it comes to a penis. That's great. Were you thinking of Vine? Was it the Vine that was the correct answer?
Yeah, I considered the Vine as well at first, and then I was like, no, I got to consider my audience, and yeah.
So next one up, a bald man complained, "My wife thinks my head is an egg. Last night she tried to blank it." Bald man complained, "My wife thinks my head is an egg. Last night she tried to blank it."
Okay.
You in, Blaze?
Yeah, I'm in.
Scramble.
Scramble. Scramble. Heck yeah.
My brain automatically went to the porn and was thinking hard boiled, hard something. Scrambled was the.
I'm glad you didn't, because yeah, I went scrambled. So, woo, yay.
All right, last one, and then
Okay.
we'll start calling it.
Okay.
One Russian cosmonaut said to another, "Look, Yuri, you can tell the Americans have been here already. See, they opened a blank on the moon."
Okay.
One Russian cosmonaut said to another, "Look, Yuri, You can tell the Americans have been here already. You see, they opened a blank on the moon.
All right. Pens down. I don't know. We'll see.
The intellectual answer might be a podcast, but no. I'm going to go with the obvious answer, McDonald's. No.
I went with keg.
Oh,
Because it's a happy hour. It's a happy hour. They opened a keg. Like, you know, it's happy keg on the moon.
I actually was thinking Starbucks personally.
Oh, there we go. That would have been good. That was fun. Thank you, Ken.
We got 40%. That's better than any baseball player does.
Yes. Well, and considering that, you know, the Mats game, sometimes it's, you know, you got to know your audience, and this is the second time you're on the show, so maybe a third time, and I'll get more.
That was fun.
Yeah. Cool. That was a lot of fun. So listen, tell everybody where they can find your new book.
Game Show Central. No, it's in the scroll. I love it. You can get it obviously on Amazon, but if you want to get a signed copy, go to the website Book of Top 10, the number 10, not TEN, Book of Top 10 Beatles Lists.com, and it'll have email. It'll tell you all the ways you can get a signed copy. And if you want to copy the horror book for whatever reason, same email, except instead of Beatles, horror, Book of Top 10 horrorlists.com. And if you want to come with me to England next summer, because we're sold out this year, it's liverpooltours.com. So
amazing.
I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of the Beatles book. I have the horror one. I love it. I've gone through it 3 times already. It's just so fun to just go over people's reasons for anything. Sometimes it's just it makes me feel good. I'll put it that way. And your books make me feel good. I just want to thank you again for hanging out and being with us.
Thank you. I love being on with you guys. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Yes.
Next book. Take care. Bye. Oh, I hated to say goodbye. I felt like we needed a Beatles tune to, you know, serenade him out with. So much fun, Charles.
That was
thank
fun.
you so
Charles
much.
was
That
great.
was a lot
The
of
game
fun.
was fun. You know.
Yeah, I might go to catch the one of the tours that he does abroad. That sounds like a really good time.
Between
So
the Beatles tour, the Dracula tour in Romania, he's got a lot of cool stuff going on.
I know. That was one of my first like loves when I was a kid, was like Dracula. I had a big crush on Christopher Lee, and I just remember like it was also something I was very afraid of though too, because a bat. I think I told you the story. A bat came into the window and scared the bejesus out of me. But you know, but it's true. Like I think that creature double feature and just the whole vampire thing, a thing that happened when I got cast as Mina in Dracula the musical when I was in college, and for research, my friend's boyfriend went out to the store when you could go to the Blockbusters and those kind of places.
Was it like an original thing, or was it like Frank
musical?
Wildhorn's musical?
No, it was Rick Abbott. But for whatever reason, we let him go pick out the movie because we were making dinner or something, and he came back and he was kind of giggling and we didn't understand what he was doing, but he was picking out a movie so that I could do some research on Mina. And he popped the movie in, and it came up. There's Castle Transylvania, and you see the back of this vampire, and he's very tall, and he turns around and he's naked. It was Johnny Holmes. It was Lust at First Bite. It was a porn, and I was like, oh my God, I forget his name now, but I looked at Eileen and I was like, oh, his name is Jim. I was like, Jim. And we like threw pillows at him because it was a joke, I suppose.
First Bite.
But we didn't watch it with him. Like we were like, turn it on.
That's hysterical.
But it was really funny. It was like one of Johnny Holmes's works. And and I was like, I think we both were like, whoa. But yeah, it was really
sure
funny.
After you saw John Holmes, you went, whoa.
Yes. I was like, I didn't have any experience with porn at all in any way, shape, or form. And that was my first experience. My first glimpse was that. And I was like, whoa, interesting.
And that man could have ruined all men for you afterwards after seeing how big it was.
The crap out of me is what it did.
And it wasn't that he was playing a vampire either. Speaking of vampires, I'll give a shout out to my mom actually.
Yeah.
I grew up watching the Universal and Hammer movies with my mom when I was a kid on the weekends on
Yep.
Fox 5 here in
Exactly.
the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Um, but in the 90s, when video stores still existed, um, there was a company, Full Moon Entertainment, run by Charles Band, the guy who gave us Ghoulies and Puppet Master and Trancers and all that good stuff. Did a series called Subspecies, and it is by far probably one of my favorite all-time vampire series ever,
Mm.
or franchises ever. And the first one came out, I think, in 1991 or 92. The last one, part 4, came out in about 20 something years ago. Part 5 just came out 30
Wow.
something years after the original, and it's glorious. I ate it up. I love it. I wound up buying my copy, but then immediately found out the day after I got my Blu-ray shipped to me that it was free on Tubi, and I didn't care, so it was
No.
all worth it.
Sometimes you need that tangible thing in your hand, and we'll have to do a future episode on vampires. That would be really cool. Maybe around
Actually,
Halloween.
you know what? The other thing too is, again, I do love tangible media still. I feel like I'm one of the only ones left. But, people complain like you can just stream it. Yeah, you can, but you know what? I got a Blu-ray. I like watching commentary or listening to commentary. I like seeing
Right.
special features and behind the scenes. You don't get that with streaming.
No,
That's
you
something
do not.
that's actually lacking. But anyway,
Absolutely. Well, on that note, till next week, all the commentary that you want next week. All right, love you, buddy. I'll talk to you later. Have a great
love you
week.
too. Have a good
Bye,
week.
everybody.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
You've just enjoyed the Silver Phoenix Happy Hour with Blaze and Ken.